Loving your parents is a bond like no other. It's something that, for many of us, shapes who we are and how we move through the world. But it's not always easy. We experience moments of frustration, miscommunication, and even distance. Yet at the core of it, the love we have for our parents is a love that transcends. In today's story, we will look at 3 everyday people and how they navigate their relationships with their parents. Their stories remind us of the power of gratefulness, forgiveness, and giving back. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who, like so many of us, only truly understood the depth of her parents' love much later in life. Sarah grew up in a small town where her family wasn't rich by any means, but in her eyes, she had everything. Her parents, her mom especially, always made sure of that. They didn't have much, but they never let her feel like she was missing anything. To Sarah, the world was a simple place: school, friends, family, and the warmth of her home. She remembered how, on cold mornings, her mother would wake up before the sun even rose. The smell of fresh pancakes would fill the house, the steam from the coffee swirling in the air, all while her mom's hands worked tirelessly in the kitchen, making sure everything was just right for Sarah before she left for school. Her mom would tuck the corners of her blankets with care, as though she were tucking in the world for her daughter, creating a small, safe space where everything felt like it was in its place. But Sarah, like most kids, didn't understand. She didn't see the tiredness in her mother's eyes after working a full shift at the diner. She didn't understand why her mom was always the last one to sit down at the dinner table, the last one to rest at night. It wasn't until Sarah became an adult that the weight of those moments became clear. Years later, as Sarah stood in her own kitchen, preparing breakfast for her young son, she caught herself, almost instinctively, doing the same things her mother had done. The quiet hum of early mornings, the soft way she tucked in the blankets, the patience as she made sure everything was perfect for her child before starting her own day. And suddenly, it hit her. Her mother hadn't just been making pancakes. She hadn't just been filling a glass with milk or adjusting the temperature of the stove. She had been showing Sarah, without saying a word, how much she loved her. Those tired hands, the ones that never seemed to stop, were a silent testament to a lifetime of care, sacrifice, and unwavering love. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, letting the realization wash over her. She hadn't understood then, but she understood now. She understood the sacrifice, the endless work, the quiet strength, the love that had never once asked for thanks or recognition. And in that moment, Sarah's heart swelled with a deep, overwhelming gratitude. Without hesitation, Sarah grabbed her phone and quickly sent a brief yet heartfelt message. "Mom, thank you for everything." Next, we meet Jake. Jake, now 34, is still working through a long-standing issue with his father, who left when Jake was a teenager. He never really forgiven his dad. He left when he needed him the most. And for years, he blamed him for everything that went wrong. He hated him for not being there. He thought, how could he leave me? Years passed, and the pain lingered. But Jake's perspective began to shift after a conversation with his uncle. His uncle, knowing the pain Jake carried, asked him a question that changed everything. "Jake, do you think your dad didn't love you? Sometimes people make mistakes, but that doesn't mean they didn't care." Jake wrestled with that question, and over time, he realized that his father's absence didn't negate the love they once shared. He was finally able to understand that his father's leaving wasn't a reflection of his worth, but rather a product of his father's own struggles. It wasn't easy, but one day, Jake reached out to him. They talked for hours about everything that happened, and for the first time, he felt a sense of peace. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting the past or pretending that things didn't hurt. It's about releasing the burden of resentment and making space for healing. For Jake, forgiveness became a way to reclaim his peace, and that's a powerful gift to give yourself and others. Finally, we meet Atena, a woman who has always been there for her family, but now, She's learning the importance of giving back to the people who gave so much to him, her parents. She spent so much of her life focused on working hard and providing for her own family, that she never fully realized how much her parents had done for her. They gave up so much to make sure she had opportunities. She never really took the time to thank them properly. It wasn't just the roof over her head or the food on the table. It was the sacrifices they made, the love they showed in their quiet, unspoken ways. Atena's parents, now in their 70s, had always been the silent supporters, cheering from the sidelines as Atena built her career and raised her own family. But now, as they age, Atena's perspective has shifted. She sees the value in the small moments, the conversations, the shared meals, the simple acts of kindness her parents had shown her all those years. She wanted to give back, not with material things, but with time, love, and appreciation. One evening, Atena invited her parents over for a quiet dinner at her home, a dinner she had prepared herself. It wasn't extravagant, but it was made with love and care, a reflection of her desire to show her gratitude. She thinks a lot of us take our parents for granted, but when she looked at them, she realized how much they'd aged, how much they'd given, and how little she had done to truly show them how much she appreciated them. So, she decided to make a change. Atena spent the evening talking with her parents, not about the past or the things that went wrong, but about the present. She asked them about their lives, their dreams, their struggles, giving them the space they had always given her. And more than just the conversation, it was the effort, the time, and the appreciation that spoke volumes. Atena wasn't just giving her parents a meal. She was giving them the gift of presence, the gift of time, and the gift of knowing that they were valued beyond what they had given. For so many years, she thought love was about providing for the people she cared about. But now, she realized it's also about showing up. It's about being there for your parents when they need it most. Whether it's a phone call, a dinner, or simply listening. Those are the things that matter. Giving back to your parents isn't always about grand gestures or expensive gifts. Sometimes, it's just showing up, taking the time to express your gratitude, and making sure they know that the love they gave you has not been forgotten. Atena's simple act of appreciation became a powerful way to honor everything her parents had done for her. The love we receive from our parents is irreplaceable, and giving back doesn't always mean fixing things or making up for the past. It's about nurturing the relationship with the same care they once gave us. I want my parents to know that I see them. I appreciate everything they did for me, and I'll always be there for them, just like they were there for me. If you liked this video, please hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave a comment, suggestions, or request as well. Here's to positivity.